These are Atlas's second and third session with the dewormer, so same kind of thing. I'm just going to bring out the empty syringe, and I just want him to target it a few times, and then I'll start asking him to go ahead and put it in the corner of his mouth and then hold it in there for longer and longer periods of time. So I'm just presenting it, and then anything toward like kind of putting his mouth on it like that, I'm going to click and then reinforce. And I just have some wet hay cubes, wet pieces of hay cube that I have in the bucket there. That's what I'm going ahead and grabbing, just like an extra special reward, a little bit higher value. Um, present it again. I want him to kind of just put his mouth on it. I want him to open his lips. He knows how to like grab things from my hands if I present them. Like he holds onto like a jolly ball, like the handle of it. So he's kind of holding it in like his front teeth. And that's not exactly what I was looking for. I was looking for more in the corner of his mouth in that gap so I can actually put the dewormer there and deworm him. So I'm just going to wait. He's kind of putting his head down. He's really close there. So he kind of tried it a couple of times of putting it in the corner of his mouth. I'll go ahead and reinforce that. I'm just being a little bit more specific than I was originally. I just was cool with any movement in the mouth, and I'm going to go ahead and see if I can just kind of put it in the corner there. He's okay with that. So I'm going to reinforce that because I want to get him used to kind of my hand placement and body placement when doing it too, because if someone were to deworm him besides me, I'd like him to get used to that. So I'm not holding on to his head here at all. I'm just kind of placing my hand on the bridge of his nose there. So that's what we're working on. And he's not really interested, so I'm just going to wait and see if he can kind of put it in his mouth on his own. I kind of take it away, represent it. That was better. Because he kind of, I think I'm maybe probably asking for a little bit too much here because he's kind of just stopping and really not offering a whole lot. I'm kind of thinking a little bit too much toward the end goal here. So same thing, like I presented it and he just kind of like, no, I want it kind of over here instead of kind of in the corner of his mouth, so I'm just going to take it away. I'll try again. He keeps kind of like sniffing it a little bit. And I just want to be really specific. I want this in his mouth. So that was better. He kind of opened up his lips a little bit. So the targeting is not quite good enough anymore. I don't want just touch your nose to it. I want open up your lips a little bit. And I could probably have broken this down a little bit better for him. There, he kind of bit it a little bit. We'll take that. And this is my first time teaching a horse to take a dewormer using positive reinforcement, so we're kind of just learning as we go here. It does work pretty well, even though I didn't do it perfectly. I do end up deworming him, and he was totally cool with that. Just having that control on his part, like he could leave if he wants. I'm not forcing him. I'm not just grabbing him and sticking it in his mouth. That really helped a lot. There we go. I like that, where he was trying to put it in his mouth on his own. That's really a big part of this is I want him to participate. I'm not going to just shove it in his mouth. I want him to kind of initiate that, and then I can go ahead and put the syringe all the way in or go ahead and deworm him. I'm really wanting him to participate. I'm not going to just grab him and force him into it. I want him to be participating in this whole thing. And that's pretty much what I want with all of my care, like feet, shots, all that stuff. I want him to communicate that he is ready, and then I will go ahead and do whatever procedure I need to do. And I've been working on learning how to do those things because I'm definitely used to the opposite way of doing it and just like making him do it. And I really don't want to keep doing that. I want to make sure that he feels is free and has as much control as possible. That was a really good one. He really tried hard there and kind of opened his mouth a little bit more than he had in the past. So I'm going to give him 2 handfuls there. So I'm going to give him more food depending on like how good of a try that was. So there, he's kind of getting it. He's close there. He's wanting to lip it, but not quite put it all the way in his mouth. That was better. So I'm really looking for mouth open so I can kind of get it in position at the corner of his mouth. I looked at my phone there, so I'm just cutting that out. I gave him a little break, kind of looked at my phone. And then we'll try again. That was pretty good. He was kind of, like, not necessarily biting at it, but then it was kind of in his front teeth, and then it ended up in the corner of his mouth. We'll take that. If he wants to go ahead and put it in his mouth, that's totally fine, even if it's not in the correct spot. I want him participating. And since he already knows, like, to hold things in his mouth, like the jelly ball, he already knows how to do that. This isn't him being naughty. I'm not teaching him to be naughty. He thinks of it more as a game than anything. He's like, oh, okay, we're playing that game where I hold things in my mouth. And that's all it is. It's just a different version of that game. So same thing. I'm going to start out with my empty syringe. And there we go. He's kind of, I think I'm missing some video here. I'm not sure if I just made that big jump um, from that empty syringe where he kind of had in the corner of his mouth, and now I can hold it and do all that. So I'm pretty sure I went ahead and had it in the corner of his mouth for a second, clicked and fed that, clicked and fed after 2 seconds, 3 seconds, and so on, and then making sure that he can hold it in the corner of his mouth long enough to where I can push that plunger down. That's what I'm looking for. So like 4 or 5 seconds where he can hold it, I can go ahead and squeeze it, and he's totally fine. So that was in the middle there, but I don't know where that footage is. So now I just did a little review in the beginning there, and then I go ahead and actually bring out the syringe with
like
the dewormer.
Or something weirdo.
And I wanted him to target that a few times because it does smell weird. Like, lots of horses don't like that taste. And I want to make sure he's totally cool with this before I go ahead and put it in his mouth. So, and I have my bucket of reinforcement ready for once he actually does take it, so he gets a big treat afterwards. So all I did was put it in the corner of his mouth and go ahead and pop a plunger real quick and bring him his reinforcement. And he didn't even seem to care too much. So
he was just like, okay.
Just the most important thing is that I can get it in his mouth. He's participating to put it in his mouth. And then I can keep it in the corner of his mouth long enough to go ahead and push on the plunger. And I was actually really surprised by that. This is why I'm laughing in the video, because he didn't really care about the taste. He was like, all right, whatever. Okay. Like, that wasn't that big of a deal. Some of my domestic horses really hate it. He didn't seem to mind too much at all.